Hey, welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're going to tackle a word that we hear absolutely everywhere: trauma. But what is it really? And how does getting the definition right change, well, everything?
Okay, let's just dive right into it. The word trauma gets thrown around so much these days that its real meaning, the deep meaning, kind of gets lost in the noise. So, what are we actually talking about?
So, right off the bat, Dr. Maté makes this really crucial distinction. We tend to think trauma is the bad thing that happened, the accident, the loss, the abuse. But he says, no, that's not it. Trauma isn't the event. It's the wound we carry inside of us because of what happened.
All right, so let's start there. Let's rebuild our whole understanding of this word, because getting this first part right is honestly the foundation for everything that comes next.
The best way to think about it is like this. Trauma is a psychic wound. It's an injury that doesn't just stay in your head. It gets imprinted on your nervous system, in your body, on your soul. And it has a way of showing up, often many years later.
And this right here, this quote holds the most hopeful part of his entire message. See, if trauma was just an event that happened 20 years ago, well, you can't change the past, can you? But because the wound is internal, it's inside you right now, it can be healed at any time. But what happens if that wound doesn't heal? Well, over time, it starts to form a kind of emotional scar tissue. And just like physical scar tissue, it's hard and rigid. It makes us inflexible. It doesn't have much feeling, so it kind of numbs us out. And here's the kicker: it doesn't grow. An unhealed trauma can literally freeze our emotional development right in its tracks.
Okay, so if trauma is a wound that disconnects us from ourselves, then what does it actually mean to heal? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple and kind of beautiful. It's so interesting. The words healing and health both come from an old root word that means wholeness. So healing isn't just about feeling better, it's about becoming whole again. It's about reconnecting with all the parts of yourself that you got disconnected from because of the trauma. And this brings up a huge distinction. Healing is not the same thing as a cure. A cure is just, the absence of a disease. But healing is about the integrity of the person. You can be cured of an illness, but never really heal emotionally. And on the flip side, you can feel emotionally whole and healed, even while living with a condition that can never be cured. So if the goal is to become whole, what's the road to get there? Dr. Maté points to a quality that, let's be honest, most of us spend our lives trying to run away from: vulnerability. And his definition is just so simple, is profound. The word vulnerability comes from a Latin word that means to wound. So vulnerability is simply our capacity to be wounded. That's it. It's not a weakness, it's just a fundamental part of being alive. This analogy makes it all so clear. Just picture a crab. It's got that hard, protective shell, right? But inside that shell, it can't grow. It's stuck. To get any bigger, it has to shed that shell. It has to molt. And for a little while, it's totally soft and vulnerable. Without that moment of vulnerability, growth is literally impossible. Or think about a tree. A tree doesn't grow from its hard, thick, calloused bark. It grows at its edges, at its tips, where it's soft and green and vulnerable. What's true in nature is true for us. Vulnerability is the absolute prerequisite for growth. So how do these wounds actually form in the first place? Well, a key insight here is that it's not always about bad things happening to us. Sometimes it's about the good things that should have happened but didn't, especially in our childhood. According to Dr. Maté, we're all born with these fundamental needs. When they aren't met, our development gets distorted. I mean, think about it. We need to feel accepted for who we are, not what we achieve. We need to be able to just rest and not feel like we're constantly working to earn love. We need the freedom to feel all of our emotions, the messy ones too, not just the good ones. And we need that unstructured, free-form imaginative play. That's literally how our brains develop. When any of these are missing, a wound can form. Okay, so finally, what happens when the healing process starts? It's really an invitation to move beyond the stories we've built around our wounds, and finally discover who we are without them. And this is just so crucial. It's about stopping the identification. You can absolutely acknowledge that you were a victim or that you are a survivor, but that's not who you are. You are not your trauma. You are the vast, whole person who all of that stuff happened to. The word identification literally means to make the same as. So the second you identify with anything, a role, a job, a nation, even a sports team, you are making yourself the same as that thing. You are immediately narrowing the scope of who you can be and limiting your own potential for wholeness. And all of this leaves us with one last really powerful thought. If you are not defined by the wounds of your past, then you are free. You're free to let go of the old labels. You're free to become whole again. And you're free to discover what truly does define you.